Most men doing NoFap or semen retention fail because they're not doing this one thing, which actually makes it a very effortless and sustainable lifestyle that you enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can magnetize your ideal life. If you want to learn more about sexual mastery, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to stay notified when I release new videos and when I go live. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control course. There's a link in the video description below. So as semen retention and NoFap are becoming more popular in the world right now, there's a lot of people looking into this stuff. There's a lot of men discovering the power of semen retention and NoFap. But it's very, very important to do this in the right way, right? This is something that I'm always stressing, is that semen retention is something that can benefit you tremendously, or it's something that can actually do a lot of harm to you, right? And the most important thing that you want to be doing when you're practicing semen retention is circulating this sexual energy. This is something that a lot of men miss, a lot of men don't do because they just don't have the skills, they don't have the knowledge, because there's a lot of people throwing out a lot of information and not all of it is good, we could say, right? When you start semen retention, you are creating an entirely different energetic dynamic in your body. Probably for several years or maybe decades of your life, you've experienced your sexual energy as exploding out of your genitals. Something arouses you and you get that itch and you can't handle those sensations. You're like, okay, I gotta masturbate or have sex and release this energy from my body. I've got to get rid of it. So that's how most men experience their sexual energy is, oh, I feel it, I need to release it by ejaculating. When you practice semen retention, it becomes a different dynamic. It becomes a dynamic of holding sensation in your body, holding desire, holding arousal, and not needing to do anything about it, right? Simply being able to hold this high charge of energy, which sexual energy is. It's very, very high voltage energy, right? And this isn't always necessarily a safe thing to do because, again, when you practice semen retention, you're building up energy. This energy isn't necessarily good or bad. It's what you do with it, right, that decides. But it's important to understand that sexual energy is an amplifier and it's a bonder, right? It bonds things together and it amplifies things. Like psychic superglue, right? Or like atomic firepower, that reproductive, multiplying, amplifying power of sexual energy, the power of sperm to become an entire human body. That's what you're working with, right? So what happens if you just stop ejaculating, but you're not really doing anything with this energy? It builds up in your balls. It builds all this pressure and stuck there in the sexual center of your body. This is going to amplify your sexual desires. It's going to amplify your ego, your sense of like needing power and control over others. This is kind of the shadow aspect of the masculine, and also a very common side effect of semen retention practice. Also feeling irritable, feeling frustrated and angry, right? If you're feeling these things, then this is a sign that you are not doing semen retention in the right way, and you want to change something, or else it can have negative consequences. As I mentioned, semen retention is something that can actually do harm to yourself, because when you build up all this sexual energy, it's an amplifier and it's a psychic superglue. So if you have all these patterns in your body, especially in your sexual center, that are unconscious, you haven't really processed them or dealt with them in some way, this is what the sexual energy is going to feed. It's going to feed these unconscious patterns. It's going to feed your anger, feed your ego, and you're going to become a maniac in some ways, right? And this is very common in semen retention. I've had hundreds, maybe thousands of men who are reaching out to me all the time because they're experiencing this. So I know that a lot of you guys are suffering from this, right? So what is the remedy to this, right? Physical exercise alone is not going to do this. It is very helpful when you're practicing semen retention because it helps you kind of burn off some of that excess yang energy that you can have, but it's not going to magically move your sexual energy through your body. The most important thing if you're going to do semen retention is to be able to circulate sexual energy through your body. You can think about it like you're putting a tea kettle on the stove, right? But you're blocking all of the kind of the exit holes for the tea kettle, right? What's going to happen? This pressure starts to build up as it's being cooked, right? Naturally, that steam would want to rise through the body. But because most men, their physical bodies and their energy bodies are locked up with all this tension, unprocessed traumas, fears, worrying about what other people think. All these different patterns that we have create energetic blockages in the body, and they prevent the sexual energy from moving through the body naturally as it might otherwise, right? So what happens is you're heating a tea kettle full of water, but there's no place for the steam to escape. What's going to happen? Tremendous pressure is going to build up, and it's going to find some sort of outlet to escape through. So what is that outlet going to be? Maybe eventually you can't take it anymore. You're like, I can't take this pressure anymore. I'm going to watch porn and masturbate. Or maybe you release it through ejaculatory sex, or this pressure turns you into an egotistical maniac, something like that, right? This is what happens, is that sexual energy finds some sort of outlet to express itself, And when it's unconscious, it's usually not going to be a harmonious, balanced outlet that creates, beauty in the world. It's usually something that creates ugliness and pain and suffering. So the practice of circulating sexual energy involves removing obstacles, first of all, that are blocking the free flow of sexual energy throughout your body. Because you spent years or decades programming your sexual energy to only move out of your genitals, you usually won't have this natural pathway for it to move through the body when you're practicing semen retention. That's why just retaining your semen isn't enough for most men and isn't even a good idea, because you have all these blockages that create a disharmonic expression of your sexual energy. It's important to have, a system, to have a map, a proven system that works. We live in an age of information, an age of technology where you can just go on the internet and search for anything, but the problem is that not all of it's good, right? This is kind of the danger in doing something without understanding on a deeper level energetically what it's actually doing to your body. And semen retention is a perfect example of this, right? There's all these guys talking about semen retention, NoFap, but there's not very many people telling you how you actually use this sexual energy, how you energetically move it through your body, how you open your channels and transmute that energy, because this requires internal energy skill, let's face it. So in the sexual kung fu system, we start with the microcosmic orbit, this primary energy channel that moves through the body, right? It starts at the perineum, the sexual center, it travels up the back of the body and ends at the roof of the mouth. The front channel also begins at the perineum, moves up the front of the body, and ends at the tip of the tongue. When you place the tongue against the roof of the mouth, it connects these two circuits. That's why a lot of yogic practices, a lot of Taoist practices instruct you to keep the tongue against the roof of your mouth. You create a circuit. So when you clear this microcosmic orbit channel, now you have a new pathway for your sexual energy to move in. Obviously, this takes some training. It's not something that happens overnight. That's why this is sexual kung fu. Kung fu is a skill, a discipline that's attained over a consistent period of training, basically. So first you open up this microcosmic orbit. In my opinion, this is a foundation for safely doing semen retention, is having this microcosmic orbit, at least awareness of it, right? There's going to be various degrees of opening this orbit freely, but just at least having the awareness and starting to work with it is a prerequisite for safely harnessing sexual energy. And then once you have the microcosmic orbit established, there's a practice called testicle breathing, where you breathe into the testicles, you anchor your awareness of your mind there, and you activate the sexual energy in a non-aroused way. And then you consciously move that sexual energy through the microcosmic orbit. Because you've done some work to clear the orbit and have a safe pathway, now you can directly move your sexual energy through it, and you are directly transmuting your sexual energy. There's a lot of talk about sexual transmutation, but if you don't have a method to do that, then it's all talk. It's not something that usually happens naturally for people. And I have instructional videos here on YouTube on both the microcosmic orbit and testicle breathing practices, so you can check those out as well. And so this is an important regular practice to have for semen retention, because now you're building up this tremendous energy, but you're circulating it through the orbit, which connects to all the other meridians of the body, all the other energetic pathways. And now the sexual energy, instead of being stuck in your balls, turning you into a horny blue ball maniac, it's moving through your entire body. The microcosmic orbit connects to all the glands of the body, connects to all the organs. So you're charging your body with this expansive sexual energy. And at the same time, when you're living a virtuous life, you're focusing on kindness, being a decent human being, not being an egotistical asshole, then you will amplify these qualities within yourself and become, a superhuman. You will become a very conscious creator in your life. And honestly, you'll be a light in a world that is very lost and very confused right now. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to really master the practice of circulating sexual energy throughout the body, because it can be a bit difficult to learn when you have all these ingrained habits, and also learn to have non-ejaculatory orgasms over and over and last as long as you want during sex without ejaculating, check out my 6-week course, Multi-Orgasmic Man. I'll put more information to that in the video description below. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. How do you circulate your sexual energy? Have a great day, my friends.